Hi, everyone. Welcome. Everyone got some food. That's from Delight Restaurant, which is right on North Avenue, across from the Hannaford Plaza. So thank you, Delight. And feel free to take some leftovers if we have some. We also have a lot of strawberry rhubarb bars. Strawberry rhubarb barbs from Stephen Brown. I'm assuming you made those, Steve. Perfect. Nice. Beautiful. Awesome. Sweet. All right. Welcome. I guess otherwise we'll jump into our meeting. Wards 4 and 7, NPA. Everybody also, if you had a chance to sign in and get your name tags, thank you. We usually start our meeting with a little introduction so that everyone has a chance to introduce himself with your ward, and also just hold the microphone and see how that feels in case you have any questions or want to use it otherwise. And I just want to check if there's anyone online tonight so I don't miss them yet. Okay, cool. Well, we have some presentations from some folks at the city. And otherwise, our ground rules for our NPA meeting are to share respectfully. Let's see, what are our other ground rules? Oh. Be kind. Yeah, that's it. I'm going to stop talking to the microphone. I guess I should have introduced myself, and we can just go around and introduce ourselves. My name's Sarah, or Sarah. I use she, they pronouns. I'm part of the steering committee, and I live in Ward 7. So if it's okay, if we can start over here, we'll just introduce ourselves that same way. And if you hold any voted position or position with the city, feel free to share that with everybody here.
So let's see. Hello? Can you hear me? Okay. So this is my first time coming to the meeting. I've been driving around, seeing the little signs, but you can't quite figure it out when you're driving around. And I tried searching online, and I couldn't figure it out, but I saw an increase in signs leading up to this meeting. So I'm like, maybe there is a meeting. So I'm here. I'm Torianne Therese, down on North Avenue. I work at the hospital as a phlebotomist, drawing blood all day. Ironically, this organization that I'm a part of has also been asked to plan some type of community event, so I'll leave some of these out. On June 7th, from 12 to 4, we're having a community conversation here to discuss how we can all contribute to vibrant communities, part of a global series of little gatherings that are being held, sponsored by Baha'i Faith, and I'm a Baha'i. So after the meeting, you can come ask me more about that. So I thought this would be a great time to come and see what it feels like to be in this meeting, and hopefully get some insight for this gathering that we're holding June 7th. Same time as Schiffoletti has their big 75th year celebration, so I bet parking's going to be tight on that day. So here you go.
Yeah. Yeah, good evening. I'm Rich, and this is my wife, Sue Sikora. We're from Ward 7 right here on Goss Court. We went down to the Planning Commission several times for the crosswalk and some no parking signs and things like that. So we decided to come for our first time as well to see what they're coming up with. So just kind of curious. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sue Sikora.
Ward 7.
Jim Palmer, Ward 7.
You're in Ward 4, dear.
Oh, I'm in Ward 4.
But you're invited to come to Ward 4.
Maybe I will.
Linda Air, Ward 4.
Andy Tracy, Ward 4.
Dan Castrogano, Ward 4, and this is River.
Hi, River.
Brian Kling, Ward 4.
Nancy Millichamp, Ward 7.
Joe Perkins, Ward 7.
Terry Perkins, Ward 7.
Sal Millichamp, Ward 7.
Martha Malphus, she, her, Ward 7. Mary Jane McMahon, Ward 7.
Bernie Carver, Ward 7.
Mark Rowell, Ward 7.
Ward 7.
I'm Amy Stewart. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm also in Ward 7.
Monica Ivancic, she, her, and I'm in Ward 7, and I'm also your Ward 7 school commissioner.
Susan Ogden, Ward 4.
I'm Phillip Peterson, Senior Transportation Planner with Public Works. I'm here to present some projects tonight, but I'm also a Ward 7 resident.
I'm Hank Prensky from Ward 4.
I'm Annie Lawson. I use she, her pronouns. I'm in Ward 4, and I'm on the steering committee here for the NPA.
Hi. This is our first time joining you guys with this meeting. We're a bunch of fellow freshmen at BHS just checking out the community. I'm Brian. This is Milo. This is Alex. This is Raul. And this is Max. Yes, this place, just thank you guys. This community is amazing. Smiles on our faces. It's nice to bring us together like this.
Yeah.
For everybody here. And I just want to check one more time if there's anyone online. Okay, cool. I usually forget that, so thanks, everybody. Oh, we got two more.
I'm Steve, and I'm on the steering committee also, and I'm in Ward 7.
Hey, Steve. I'm Jane.
Not Ward 7.
She, her, pronouns. I am in Ward 7, and I'm also on the steering committee.
That didn't work for some reason. Is that okay? Let's see. If you want to just put that one over there, Steve, we will skip it and then we'll know. Thanks, everyone. Technical difficulties over there. Pulled up my agenda. Sorry, we don't have any copies for everybody. But thanks for introducing yourselves. And now there is space for the open forum. So if anybody has announcement about upcoming events, Tori, if you wanted to repeat the details of your event so that people can jot that down. You also mentioned that Shifletti, did I say that right? Shifletti Fields is having their celebration right over here in the neighborhood on June 7th. So yeah. Yeah, just jump us off.
Yeah. So our event that we've been organizing is called We Are All Flowers of One Garden. You are cordially, I'll read it because it's easier that way. You are cordially invited, a gathering of friends and neighbors, Saturday, June 7th, noon to 4, here in this room, actually. And also we've reserved the children's room because we're doing a Champion Community Builders Kids Workshop in the children's room. I'm in charge of that. What's up for the meeting? A light lunch on arrival, welcome introduction, meet your neighbors, principles of consultation, and then a discussion of what might positive social change look like and how can we bring this about. So that's the nuts and bolts of the gathering. Thank you. Everybody's invited.
Thanks, Tori. Anybody else have? All right, Jane?
Something to think about. Yeah, we are on the steering committee, but and we would really love more people to join the steering committee. If you don't know what that means, you're welcome to come and join us at one of our meetings. It's the next Wednesday, right? First Wednesday of the month at 6:30. You can just hang out in the meeting and see what we do. It's a great opportunity to have what you want presented at a meeting.
Thanks, Jane. We'll talk a little bit about that later also. the end of our agenda. Yeah, Monica, I think there's also a microphone there that's closer. You might just have to click it on. The green light doesn't necessarily. Is it clicked up? It's a little sticky. Yeah. I know, it's like, let's see. I didn't turn it. It says it's on, right? I tested all of them, right? This one seems to be working.
Thanks, Sarah. I just wanted to announce that my neighborhood, the Village Green neighborhood, which is Village Green, Saratoga, and all those streets in between, is having their neighborhood yard sales on June 7th from 9 to 3. 9 to 3. So tell a friend, come on by. Every other house has a yard sale, almost. Any other announcements?
Thanks, Monica. June 7th, busy day. Write it all down. Do you have another announcement, or you have a secret to tell me? Okay. Okay. Like now I have the loudest microphone. Let's see. Is it about our presentations? Because that might be where we're going next. There it is. Just a little shift in our order of presenters. We might have somebody joining us on Zoom instead of being here in person, so we might just boogie woogie with it. I know Phillip is here from the Department of Public Works, so we might move on depending on how we're all feeling. Collective meeting. I'm getting some nods. All right. More folks showing up. Help yourself to dinner. Great. All right. Let's see who we got. Cool. So yeah, I also know we don't have any physical agendas out there, so I can just let you guys know what I'm looking at, which Clayton Clark, the general manager at Green Mountain Transit, was going to be presenting tonight. So he might be joining us on Zoom a little bit later. But if we're feeling good about open forum, I can invite Phillip up. Phillip Peterson from the Department of Public Works, and gonna give us some updates about what's going on there. And I'll give you this microphone. That seems to be the best.
Watch out for these guys over here. Okay. So I'm on Zoom if you want to promote me. All right. So yeah, again, I'm Phillip Peterson, Senior Transportation Planner with the City of Burlington, Department of Public Works. This is honestly, and I'm not saying this just because I live in Ward 7, this is my favorite NPA to attend. It actually is. It's very well organized, and you guys are always nice. And I'll tell you, the other city staff, we do talk about the NPAs. I won't name any other NPAs, but there are certain NPAs where you go, oh, you're going to that one. And this isn't the one that gets that reaction. So everybody's going to be jealous about the food tonight, too. So I'm here to talk about some of our transportation projects, things that are ongoing. You can see the beautiful sidewalk work that's happening out on North Avenue. So Rock Point Bridge is under construction, that's underway. We do have other projects that I'm going to discuss. We're going to talk about Route 127 paving. Ethan Allen Parkway has some traffic calming that's part of the paving project. The North Ave Plattsburgh project, which I know is of particular interest for some folks. Some rubber speed humps, and then the new North End sidewalk scoping study, which is going to be going to City Council on Monday. So glad to know that our paving team has a patching and what I would call small scale paving on the Beltline. So, and I know that while I was out there doing some other work, a friendly gentleman rolled his window down and advised me in very colorful language how the Beltline needed to be paved. I'll let you paint your own picture. You city people. So yes, we listened to him specifically. No, it needed to be paved. There's definitely some delamination, and that should be happening mid-June. So in the next few weeks, we're hoping that the contractor will hold off until after school is out, but we'll see. We'll see what we can. The other project I was going to talk about is Ethan Allen Parkway traffic calming. So there's going to be a couple of speed humps that will be installed adjacent to the park. So that'll be close to the Ethan Allen Parkway North Ave intersection. This microphone, I gotta hold it in a certain way. I need like a wire or a coat hanger, right? Maybe it's my own personal frequency. A tin hat, tin foil hat. And then also an RFB, or a rapid rectangular flashing beacon, or what some people will send me emails about and say, we need those flashy lights. That's going to be at Farrington Parkway. That's closer to the school. There'll be a curb extension in front of the school and also a speed hump in front of the school and a raised crosswalk at Moore Drive. So that's good for the students. And then also another speed hump that's going to go a little bit further north from that, and then the pavement's in pretty bad condition along that section of Ethan Allen Parkway. So the paving team is going to do some repaving there as well. Yes, the North Ave Plattsburgh intersection, the right-hand turn lane removal. Everyone's real excited about this one. We are proceeding with that project. The thing we were waiting on was a camera system so that we could install that into the signal. Currently, the intersection is timed, strictly timed, but we will put in a detection system that should help with the queuing. So the right-hand turn lane will be removed, and we will put in concrete curb stops to protect the bike lane, because it's pretty obvious through our observations when we collected data out there that we're not going to achieve driver compliance with just restriping. It's just not a possibility. We do know that there's some safety concerns along this stretch, and this is the one project we have that's in queue that will start addressing some of those safety concerns, especially as it relates to Plattsburgh Avenue. And then the other thing we're going to do is the rubber speed humps will go back in on Goss Court, and also we're going to put a couple of speed humps in near the school on North Ave near Barley Road. So we've had some kind of driver compliance issues. Hey man, I'm not going to swear up here, you know. Oh my goodness. It's ironic because it's the parents that are dropping the kids off, but anyways, just an observation. So a couple of speed humps will go in adjacent to this crosswalk. It doesn't qualify for an RFB. And we kind of looked at it and thought, oh, do we do an RFB? So we're going to try a couple of rubber speed humps, and then maybe later on down the road do something a little bit more permanent in the way of asphalt. Now, on to the new North End sidewalk scoping study. This study looked at 3 different areas of our neighborhood, the Cottage Grove Lualdo, which happens to be kind of the no-build option. Folks in that neighborhood were very interested in traffic calming, which is kind of a separate conversation from sidewalk work. But 2 other neighborhoods, Stanbury Road and also Green Acres. So for Stanbury, the recommendation is just a real basic meat and potatoes sidewalk. If those of you who live in that area, you kind of know, like, the sidewalk ends. Shelf Silverstein's book, right? We know where the sidewalk ends, and it ends on Dale Road. So we would, the study proposes to continue that sidewalk on Stanbury all the way to Stanford Road. And so it's just your basic meat and potatoes sidewalk project. And then the other one that we're going to look at is doing a pedestrian zone on Green Acres. It's a temporary thing. The neighborhood, Green Acres folks, they have shorter driveways, gardens, fences. Folks who are interested in exploring this as an option for a future sidewalk project where we take some of that paved space and make it into a sidewalk in the future. So this would be a project that maybe we do this summer where we install a pedestrian zone on the south and west side. Green Acres is kind of weird, you know, it goes, yeah. She knows, you know. So we'll reach out to the neighborhood when we're looking at doing that. The other thing, some transportation planning things that we've had going on. The Plan BTV Walk Bike Safety Action Plan, that should be going to City Council on Monday for final approval. And we have a slate of potential projects that are going to come out of that. Nothing ground swelling, no major focal corridor projects, no Main Street, no Shelburne Street, no big giant. Basically what we're looking to tackle as a set of project would be a pedestrian safety improvement project. We tackle a lot of crosswalks, what I would call more maintenance issues, and capitalizing on some grant dollars, either federally or through the state. It's a little tricky, if you can imagine, applying for federal grant dollars nowadays, and that's all I'll say about that. But we're figuring out what the federal administration would prefer to see. We do have some folks on the inside at FHWA with the federal government that are providing us with some guidance in terms of what we can apply for, what we should apply for, and so we're getting ready for that. Also, the transportation plan is due for an update, and that's happening starting this year, so we're going to be working on that. The transportation plan is originally from 2011. So we'll be working with our partners in the Chittenden County Regional Planning Commission, the CCRPC, and also other local folks, South Burlington and Winooski and Essex and Colchester and all that. And we'll be collecting data, as usual, to drive a lot of these decisions. So you'll see some of that. We've started data collection efforts on Star Farm Road. I know that there was some questions about traffic calming on Star Farm. Star Farm's a tricky street. Where folks want traffic calming is not where speeding is occurring. So it just isn't, you know. So near the bike path, near the park, speeding's not really happening in that area. Speeding is happening, but it's in stretches where it's not there. So anyways, more to come on that if you live in that neighborhood. And I'm happy to take some questions. My contact information is up here as well. And I'll hang around and, yeah. I think you need a microphone so the folks can hear you online.
Yesterday, when I was on the Greenway bike path, up by...
Rock Point Bridge? You talking about by Rock Point Bridge?
Well, yeah, right below that, by Killarney, there was a sign that said effective today, it's closed for 3 days to a week for paving. I'm not sure where the paving was, but today I was riding up on a certain same area, and it was open, and I noticed any paving. So can you explain what happened?
Sure. So for folks online, because I don't think this gentleman's microphone is working, the question was around the bike path detour. So the bike path detour had nothing to do with paving. What it had to do with is work that was taking place on the Rock Point Bridge. So we had done all the shoring and all the steel work was done and ready to go. Yesterday they poured the slab. So they poured the concrete slab, and obviously we had a detour for that. We don't want folks using the bike path while we're pouring, several tons of concrete. So what wound up happening is the detour was supposed to stay in place, and it didn't. Folks just moved it out of the way. So it's just water that's dripping down off of the bridge. So they kind of keep some of the surface of the cement wet so that it doesn't crack as it's curing. It's a whole curing process. So it's completely safe. If people don't mind getting wet, we're just going to leave it open. There probably will be other times where the bike path detour will happen because of the Rock Point Bridge project, especially when we do demo. So when the old bridge gets demolished, I think we're going to want the bike path detour. Maybe you do want to be there actually, because it'd be pretty cool to watch. But beyond that's why the detour was in place.
By the way, just one thing, I don't think a lot of people actually know what happened with that bridge, why it's being moved over.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably erosion. Can you just back?
Why is the project happening? Why is the Rock Point Bridge being replaced? It's really, really old, and it's in a failing condition. If you have an opportunity to take a look at the old bridge, like you could now, there's no one out there. It's free for people to walk through. You'll notice that in the webbing, where it's supposed to be structural, there's like holes in the structural steel. So it's not what I would say is an imminent failure, but it's used. It's useful life. It's done and needs to be.
This is coming out of the city.
Some of it, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't take long. We have a plan for the graffiti. The parks team is really good when it comes to graffiti and graffiti removal, so we're going to use their skills. It's you guys, isn't it? You guys doing the graffiti? Hang on.
My mom would. Anyways, I had a question. You mentioned that you were extending a sidewalk. I can't remember where it was. Yes, this one right here. How would the owners of the homes feel about that grass removal on their pot?
You want a job? We have talked to the neighborhood about this project. If you look at Stanbury Road for a sidewalk project, most of the homes along that stretch, there's not a lot of like gardens, fences, trees. It's pretty straightforward. But you do point out an issue when it comes to building a sidewalk. When we build a new sidewalk on somebody's, what they perceive as their property, yeah, we're going to take up some space. And it can feel very invasive. It's for the public good. We all like sidewalks. We all like having a neighborhood that's connected. But if you're not used to having a sidewalk right in your front lawn, you might not be too excited about that. But once we get to the point where that project will be happening, which is not anytime soon, this is probably 2 or 3 years down the road, we'll definitely involve the neighborhood. But yeah, good question. Okay, I guess I'll do this like motivational speaker style. How you doing, Rich?
Yeah, pretty good. Multiple questions since the bike path was brought up. I ride it almost daily, and this is out of our ward, waterfront, that little ice cream stand that's right near there. It borders it. There's right across from Echo, and the bike path right there. It had been moved once over by the open area. That's the perfect spot. But unfortunately, it was put back. I don't know how many times I've gone there with a line that crosses into the bike path, or they'll be there and turn around and walk right back out. I don't know why they don't have like a little rope fence or something. It's a safety thing. I think it should be addressed anyway. But I'm on Gosport here. We met before. Right across from Hunt School, that crosswalk, we brought up a concern several times of kids crossing. We watch them. In the morning, they're there. They get ready. They get dropped off. Car pulls up. Kid runs around. They can't see. The car's there. Or there's some. Then they're out dodging traffic to run across the street. And they do go fairly fast through here on Gosport. It's a throughway from the backside. I know the first fix was to put no parking signs out in front of our house and across the street. Okay, we'll keep the cars away. At least they have a visual cue that they can cross. Unfortunately, they've been there, maybe 6 months to a year? They do not work. There's cars parked there constantly. And I brought it up to the city. I said, either you enforce the signs you put up there or take them down so I can park back in front of my house. I'm all for anything you can put out there to fix that thing. It's not right, it's not working. And we talked about a couple things. A little bump out in front, even if you want the fancy flashy lights, that doesn't matter. But it gives somebody an opportunity to step out, see if there's traffic coming, and then go across. Yes, because I know the speed bumps were great. They were up, I mean, you had 3 of them up last year. You know, probably 1 too many. But I think the 2 is going to be really good. But what do you do in the wintertime when you take them out? And I know it's a whole different route in getting there.
It's working. So if you want to answer any of these questions that he's throwing out for you.
It's just it's just a problem area that I don't see. I see Band-Aids. They're not working.
Right. So first of all, asphalt, very expensive. Right. So that's totally true. The other thing is now I got to go talk to Mark over in Parking Services because he was supposed to send out some parking agents to issue tickets and warnings and all that.
Yeah, I called them 3 times. They actually came out once and actually towed somebody away, some random car that was there.
Right.
And I recommended they at least post somebody there.
Sure.
Somebody parked in front of our house, and I was coming back on a bike ride, went up to the window and said, "Do you know you're right in front of a parking sign?" "Oh, I never."
Right.
It's like, they're here. They're not aware they're there. It's for the kids or the people crossing that. It's not working.
Right. Right.
So I don't know what the fix is. I know
Yes.
this summer will be good. They'll be slow.
Mm-hmm.
But back to the school year when it's really needed, those all go away.
Right, in the wintertime.
And no parking signs. I assume you might as well just toss them out because they're not working. They're not doing their job if they aren't going to enforce it.
Okay. I'll have to talk to my team about that one. Now, as far as the bike path goes with the ice cream stand, I think Cindy White, who's the parks, was, and now she's retiring, had that very conversation with the ice cream folks. I don't know where that's at. I can talk to the parks people about that
I would
tomorrow.
think the city should enforce something.
Of course. No, it is, and I totally agree.
All you need is a barrier.
Yeah, I would, I
Have
100% agree.
An inline
Mhm.
out over there where they can sit at the picnic tables.
I agree.
Yeah, I think it's simple. It's just
Yeah.
not happening.
Okay.
I think we had another question, maybe? I'm not sure. Or
Okay,
not.
okay. Where are we going?
Oh, I thought Stephen had a question.
No?
That's why he had the microphone.
Here we go.
Now we have too many microphones.
There.
Love it.
Thanks. Is this one on? Okay. So my question is about future stuff.
Sure.
I live on Staniford Road, where it's a straight thoroughfare, and it brings folks down to Apple Tree neighborhood down there.
Yep.
A lot of houses down there that are accessed by our road, and it's a straight shot, and cars go very fast. There's also like 50 children on my street. I'm not exaggerating. What options do residents have if we want to initiate traffic calming?
I mean, we're talking about it right now. So I would say maybe the best thing to do to remind me, because I have like 10 million projects going on, is if you send me an email and say, hey, remember that thing we talked about on Stanford Road? We did do a reinstall of some speed humps on Stanford last year when we paved it. Right, 3, exactly. But to re-engage and do another traffic calming project, yeah, I mean, we'd have to talk about it. Yeah. Send me an email. To gain traction. Well, I mean, we have a triage process where we collect data, right? Collect speed data, we look at crash data, look at all that information, plug it in, and see what's the priority, where are the priorities at. So send me an email. Okay. You want to grab the microphone? Here you go, Hank. That way people online can hear you.
Okay. On Staniford, the speed limit's 25, like it is in all city streets, except now the central business district where it's 20. Why can't the city extend some of that to residential neighborhoods? I mean, I already got the phrase for you, 20 miles per hour is not too slow. It's all right.
So Stanford is not in what's called the designated downtown district. State law. So we go off of state law. And state law, 25 miles per hour is the maximum or the minimum speed limit. So outside of our designated downtown district, we can't go. Can't do it. It's not enforceable.
We have state legislators who can change that.
Hey, man, go for
So
it.
we'll talk to them about that.
Go for it. Do it.
I have a question about bicycling in the city.
Sure.
And I know you have a million things to do, but you always take a really long time to paint the lines for the bikes. And one issue is like riding up College Street. So I work at UVM. Nice if I ride down the waterfront bike path, which is ideal, then I have to ride all the way up College Street. And the bike lane has always been, especially between Union and Willard, wrangled, like the worst
faded.
part of the pavement, like, you know, it's awful. It's
You're going to love this. It's getting paved this year.
at the same time as Main Street is closed?
Yeah, it's getting paved.
Okay.
It is. But it's a
All the
mill
way
and
to
fill
the edge.
operation. Mill and fill operation. So it's
Okay.
not this giant street reconstruction situation that Main Street is, where it's all the utilities and all that work.
Okay.
All it is they go in, they mill off an inch and a half, right? Get the finished course, inch and a half, get a nice flat surface, put type 4 asphalt down, and then they do the line striping.
Okay, good
So
news.
that's supposed to be happening this summer. Oh,
And, well, let me just add, because it has more to do with biking.
sure.
On Colchester Ave, so if you're going from UVM down towards Winooski, there's that light on East Ave. And so if you're going straight, you know, like 2 or 3 years ago, you guys did an excellent job painting the lines, putting a little bike thing in the middle. And then last year, there was nothing. And this year, there's nothing, although we're only in May.
Line striping is very tricky for us. It definitely, maintenance can be a little bit of a blind spot. And it's not necessarily money when it comes to line striping, it's staffing. Before the pandemic, we had a crew of probably a dozen college students that would come and work for the city and do line striping all summer long. They would go all over the city and do all this work. And now, I think we have 4 total. You want a job? No. Oh, you want a job? Hey. Alan Mashter is the traffic foreman. I'm sure if you're of workable age, he will absolutely take bodies to do work. I'm sure you look like you. Come on. Yeah. Oh, Alex, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think we have time for one more question.
If the new school's opening up soon, why are the traffic, if the new BHS, Burlington High School is opening up soon, why are the traffic things taking 2 years?
The traffic things. Which part?
Traffic one?
No, it's okay.
The traffic stuff said it's gonna take about 2 years. Yeah.
Oh, which part? I'm confused. Which things take? Oh,
Yeah, that one.
traffic calming on North Ave. This is North Ave at Barley.
Oh, you know what, I don't think you specified which school.
Right.
You're talking about school.
No, not near the school.
Oh, sorry,
No.
that's my
No,
confusion.
but to talk about the high school real quick, we are making some adjustments to the bus stops. Bus stop locations are completely changed. So the current bus stop, northbound bus stop, is like 250 feet south of Institute Road. It's horrible. What winds up happening is I see you people, you guys get dropped off and then you just run across the street. Not a safe situation. So we're going to move that so it's just north of that intersection, and then the southbound bus stop will be also just south, or just north of the intersection. It'll be a way safer situation for you, high
That's way
school
safer,
students. Way safer. You guys are going to love the high school.
Thank you.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great.
I can't wait.
Cool. Well, there's, oh, wait, hang
Yeah, I was
on.
going to say, you have some
Whoa.
info.
Here's my contact information. Feel free to send me an email, give me a call. Always happy to talk about these things. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention that what you see here is just the periscope on a giant submarine. I work with an amazing group of people. Public Works, Chapin Spencer is a great boss, and Public Works is making things happen with limited resources, and I really love the people I work with. So, thank you for letting me be here tonight.
Thank you.
To follow up with some of the things that the city does have going on, I didn't mention during the open forum, but next month we'll have some more city folks coming to chat with us about 2 specific projects, which the first is the Burlington Open Space Plan. Sarah Morgan, I believe, was here a few months ago, maybe 6 months ago, time flies, to talk about that. And then also some updates that are happening at Letty Park.
Yeah, Plan BTB New North End is in full swing as well. Just so we're all aware, and you guys are all engaged. There's a lot of housing goals in the city of Burlington, and which is good. But we have to know and acknowledge one of the reasons we're doing an update to the transportation plan is housing's coming, which means more cars, more bikes, more people, and and I see more buses. I see GMT. There he is.
Awesome. And yeah, if you want to learn more about that before next month's meeting, you can go online to the city website. I know it's a little tricky to navigate sometimes, but if you go for the open space project, you go to their departments, city planning, long range planning, the library, and then the Burlington Open Spaces Plan. And then for Letty Park, you go to their departments, Parks and Recreation and Waterfront, their projects, and their active improvement projects. So I know it's a lot, but I wrote it down. But if you go through their departments and you kind of see what area you're looking to explore, what's going on, they do try to make their info pretty accessible. Did you have a question? There's a microphone right next to you, Annie, if you want.
Can you please just repeat how you find the stuff about the New North End aspect of it? I forget what it's even called.
Do you mind if I do it? Is this for the notes?
Yeah, but I want.
Oh,
yeah, I would
yeah.
get it afterwards. But it
It's-
was just so quick. Maybe other people
Yeah,
want it. Thanks.
I can do that.
Thanks, Sarah. Sorry to make you do it.
No, that's fine. City website, so for the open spaces plan, the Letty improvement, departments, Parks, Recreation, and Waterfront, projects, and then active improvement projects. Definitely. Thank you for taking notes. Great. That was super. Clayton is joining us online. Thanks for being here, Clayton. We are going to invite you to tell us about, let's see, what are you telling us about? No, I'm just kidding. Green Mountain Transit, you know it. All right, I'll hand it over to you, Clayton, and then there will be some time for questions afterward.
Okay, Clayton, try saying something.
Hello, Ward 4 and 7. Yay! So, good evening, everybody. Oof. So I'm having a hard time hearing you, but it sounds like maybe you can hear me now. And so this puts you in the very dangerous situation where I'm just going to talk and not be able to hear anything you're saying. So you could be like, stop, we've heard enough. And I'll just keep going all night.
We're going to make it even better and ask you to mute your side of the microphone.
There. How about that?
Beautiful.
Excellent. And hey, now I can actually hear you a bit. And so that worked out. And so first off, congratulations for fixing a technical issue on the fly. That's always stressful and fun. So for those folks who figured that out, thank you. Next off, I want to sincerely apologize that I put you in a position that you need to figure things out, because I would much prefer to be there in person, and I'm sorry not to be there tonight. And so please forgive me for doing the discussion via Zoom. And so I want to start off by thanking Jane McDonald for arranging for me to talk to you all. And I appreciate her work there. I had seen her a few weeks ago at one of the other wards, and so was happy to get the invitation to come talk to you all. And so one of the things that I wanted to do is kind of give you all an update of where things are for GMT when it comes to our overall service, and to talk to you also about the fact that there's going to be some big changes to GMT in the coming year. And I'm not just talking about, potential service reductions. And so I apologize if you can hear. I'm guessing that the UPS driver is making his rounds because my dog is upstairs and having a fit. And so if you hear him barking, I apologize for that. And so I want to start off with thinking big picture about GMT. And so right now we provide service in 5 counties, and Chittenden County is where we have what we call our urban service. And then we operate service in Franklin, Grand Isle, Washington, and Lamoille counties. And so the reason why I'm bringing this up is that it looks very likely that that the state of Vermont will kind of be breaking GMT up. And one of the things that is very rare in our country is to have a transit provider that provides service in both rural areas and urban areas. And the reason for that is because they are funded separately. And in fact, they're not just funded separately, but they have to have the funds like segregated from each other. They can't be mixed. And so what that means is that GMT really is a transit agency that operates an urban system in Chittenden County that's separate from the rural system that we operate in the other 4 counties. And when you look at our country, there's only one other transit agency outside of California that has both urban and rural service under the same umbrella. And I can tell you, when I was younger, I used to love being special. But now that I've gotten a little older, sometimes I'm like, hey, special isn't always, wonderful. And so the state of Vermont and GMT itself is kind of coming to the conclusion that the thing that would be best for us would be to sort of return to our urban roots back when we used to be called TAA. And we were focused just on an urban mission. And so I think that in about 14 months, it looks like we'll be returning to that. And I start off with this because one of the things that really excites me is that I feel like GMT has been an organization that has just been asked to do the impossible. And so when you look at us over the past 10 years, despite the fact that we've actually are providing more types of service now than we ever have, we've had a 42% reduction in our administrative staff. And so the administrative staff are those folks who are not drivers, who are not mechanics, who aren't scheduling the buses, who aren't working in the customer service at the transit center. And so these are the folks that sort of manage the services and most importantly manage like the money, both the getting of it and making sure that it's spent correctly. And so the thing that really makes me hopeful for our urban service after this transfer happens is that we'll be able to be much more focused. And because right now I feel like I'm thinking about service across 5 counties, and in about 14 months I'm going to be thinking about service in 1 county. And I really think that that's going to be helpful for you all, and to be able to have the staff that we have really focused on that on this. And could you hold for a second? Could you really get him to quiet down, please? Okay. So anyway, all right. And so, oh, all right. He stopped now. The danger of the UPS driver is,
Wait, we lost you, Clayton.
oh, I'm sorry. Did we get disconnected?
Yeah, there you are.
Oh, I'm sorry. And so,
Okay.
oh, are we back to get back there?
There you go.
Okay, sorry. And I think that that's going to be really good news for for our customers in the rural or in the urban areas, because we're just going to be able to, I think, be a lot more flexible, be a lot more responsive, because of that change. So one of the things that's been very hard for GMT is that over the past year, we've had to do something that we hate doing, and that is look at our service, figure out what is not working, the most economically, and do some pruning. And the problem with that is that if you have a single person who uses a route, that, and you cut that route, it doesn't matter that only one person was using it. For that person, that may have been the most critical, route that we have. And so, when we have to constrict our service, it doesn't feel good for us. And, we would like to be able to provide as much service as we, can get funded for. And so the situation that we are in is that, like a lot of other municipalities, which, by the way, we're a municipality in the state of Vermont. And so we're not a for-profit company. We're not a nonprofit. We're a government entity. And so, like a lot of the other municipalities, they're in this situation where we had COVID relief funds that helped us. It helped us through difficult times, and those funds are about to be exhausted. And because of that, we are going to have to learn to live without them. And so we have a fiscal cliff that is coming for when those funds are gone, and we'll need to be able to operate with a balanced budget. We're not looking for a profit, but we just need to be able to balance our budget. And so the only way that we've are able to do that is to take a look at our service. And so over the past year, we've reduced our service by a little over $1 million a year. And the thing that I'm really thankful for, at least for your neighborhoods, is that those reductions really have not impacted service on the number 7. And so GMT's number 7 is the route that connects from the downtown transit center through the new North End. And with the reductions that we've done so far, the only changes to the number 7 have been 3 runs on Saturday nights. And so in December, we eliminated the 6:15, or I'm sorry, the 6:30, the 9:15, and the 10:30 Saturday night runs. And so those are the only reductions that we've done that directly impact your neighborhood. I can tell you that one of the things that is helpful for you all is that our number 7 is really one of our very productive lines. It is always neck and neck with the number 6 as being our 3rd most used line. And so we provide about 270,000 rides a year on the number 7 there. And so it's robust. And because it's robust, I think that will help insulate it, not only from the past service reductions, but from some of the future service reductions. Right now, this number 7 is operating at 20-minute frequency throughout most of the day. So if you miss your bus, that the longest that you'd have to wait for, the next one to come through is 20 minutes. That's the highest or the shortest frequency that we operate, and it's indicative of how well used it is. And so that means that when we look at the future, I really don't envision any scenario where, like the number 7 would go away. Really, the only thing that we would potentially be talking about is, perhaps reduced frequency. And so in that sense, the conversation with your neighborhoods is a lot different than the conversations that we may have with some of our neighborhoods, like in Williston and the town of Essex, where, there's the potential that, that they may actually lose some of their service because of the lower ridership. So thinking about the future, we know that we have about a $3 million funding gap for next fiscal year. And so the good news is that it's next fiscal year, not the fiscal year we're about to start in July. And so I guess that actually makes it the next fiscal year. But for the fiscal year that starts in July, we know that we're good. It's the one that happens a year from July that we have about a $3 million gap. And we're going to be working with the state of Vermont on minimizing that gap. We know that there's a lot of legislators and VTrans themselves who would like to make sure that as much of our service is retained as possible. But I do expect that we'll continue to have further reductions in our overall urban network. Again, I think that you'll be well situated to survive that with minimum reductions to your neighborhoods because of that ridership. And so, just to be frank, it's hard to be positive and cheerful about, sort of the outlook when, when we're having to constrict service. And so, I don't expect, people to, to listen to me talk and be like, oh, everything is great or okay. It's not, but it's just representative of sort of the time that we're in. Just to give you an idea of, when you think about the funding that we receive, first off, I have to be so appreciative of the city of Burlington. Burlington contributes about $2 million a year to our service. That's, about what the state of Vermont contributes. And so your municipality, your elected leadership is really, shown a commitment to public transit, and I appreciate that. And so I want to make sure that you know that. When you look at the how we're funded, it's about 60% from federal funds, about 10% from fares, about 10% from the state, and about 20% from the municipalities that we operate. And so that kind of gives you the breakdown, but also shows that we have a real reliance on federal funds. And I'm not going to engage in any federal politics, but I will just say that reliance on federal funds does make us a little uneasy in this day and age. And so we're hoping that doesn't change. We're hoping that we continue to receive that same level or higher, of funds, from the FTA, the Federal Transit Administration. But the reality is that there has been uncertainty, and so sorry to be talking at you so much, because what I really wanted to get to is to provide an update and then be able to hear your questions. And I would especially love to hear when people ask their questions, if you tell me which routes that you use. And, I would imagine that, most folks are using the 7. And, but, beyond that, what are the routes that are important to them in the room? And so with that, I'll turn it over for questions. Again, I'm sorry if, the audio is a little strange, but I appreciate the technological fix that was implemented, and we'll do the best to answer your questions.
Thanks, Clayton. Appreciate all that info. Do we have any questions from folks tonight? Got one over there. Steve's got a microphone right behind you.
Hi, Clayton. I ride the 7 and the 5 mostly. I was just wondering, I'm not a politician, I'm not a lobbyist, so I'm not going to go to the state legislature, but what can the public do to help GMT improve its situation?
Well, great question. One of the things that I really like about Vermont is how responsive our legislators are. And even if you're not a lobbyist, just sending them an email, giving them a call, I find has been very, helpful. So I would encourage folks to do that. I would also encourage folks to, let the, like the Burlington mayor's office know that you appreciate the fact that they funded us at, such a robust level and that they want that to continue. I don't want to take that for granted, especially, knowing the difficulties that the city of Burlington is having with their finances. And so I think those are the two things that would be really the most helpful. And I know that that's asking people to do something that may be very, very uncomfortable to them, which is reaching out to a stranger, asking them for help. But I think that really is what's kind of necessary. The thing that I'm really appreciative of is that, many times when I go talk to municipalities, they'll be talking about the education funding issue at the same meetings that I'll be at. And man, I am so thankful that our problems are not nearly as complicated as that problem. Our problem is somewhat small. $3 million is a lot of money, but in the grand scheme of things with the state, it's not that much. And so I just say that because I think that with a few nudges in the right direction, that our legislators have the opportunity to really, sort of save the day here, because, we don't need $150 million to keep providing, robust service. It's a manageable, about $3 million. And to give you an idea, our overall urban budget is about $20 million. So it's not, so that $3 million would be about a 15% increase.
Yeah, that's awesome. One more quick question. Monica, there's a phone there.
Hello. Hi, I ride the 7, I also ride the 2, and the 8, and sometimes the 11 if I want to come up the hill to go back to work from having lunch downtown. And I moved here 11 years ago from Madison, Wisconsin, which was very well connected by public buses.
Yes.
And had the kind of thing at the stations, some of the main stations where you saw which buses are coming in. So kind of like a live, TV thing. And one thing, since I moved to the new North End 10 years ago, I was wondering why you don't have, and it's probably a bad time to be talking about this, but it would be great to have a commuter bus. So we have a lot of people living in the new North End, working at UVM or UVM Medical. Could we have a route that goes straight from the new North End up to UVM, like at rush hour, in the mornings on the way there, in the evenings on the way back? That would encourage a lot of people to not drive, to get out of their cars. And I've floated this idea to several of my politician friends, who never went with it. But I thought that would be great if we could, because they got rid of, so if you take the 7 to downtown, I used to be able to get off on the corner of North Winooski and Pearl, hop off there, cross that intersection, and then take the 2 up. They got rid of the freaking bus stop right there, so now you have to ride all the way to the station, but maybe the 2, the 7 is late and the 2, you miss it.
Yeah, first off, the number 2 is my home route. That's what I take when I take the bus into work. And I know what you mean, because when the 2, I need to connect at the transit center, and if the 2 is late, it means that I'm gonna, be waiting there a lot longer for the number 5 to, to get out to GMT HQ. I can tell you that one of the things that Madison has is that they just have a larger population that allows them to be much more specific with some of their routes, especially when it comes to specific employers. I love the idea of having like dedicated routes that go to big places like the hospital. That is clearly the hospital and the university right next to each other. You know, that's probably a third of our service, you know, is people connecting into that area. I don't know if, you know, there would be an actual population in the New North End that would be able to support a commuter line. I think that that's something that we should look at. I will tell you that, you know, for the next year or two, it's probably going to be very difficult to propose new service. But I think that that's something that we need to look at. We also need to, and I don't want to, you know, especially with this being a public setting, you know, one of the things that I know is that the medical center, you know, also has its own shuttle service. And, you know, that's something where I know that the hospital is under financial duress. You know, we're under financial duress. You know, one of the things that, you know, I think that we're going to have to explore in the future is, you know, partnering with them. And if that turns out to be the case, I think that that would give us some more opportunities. You know, one of the things that we have to be cautious of is that since we get about, you know, 60% of our money from the feds, we also have to follow the golden rule. And so I know people sometimes think the golden rule is, you know, do unto others as you would like done to yourself. But really, the golden rule is he who has the gold makes the rules. And so, you know, if because the federal government pays for so much, they put some real, you know, limitations on how we use their funds. And one of the things that we can't do is we can't operate a service that looks like an employee shuttle service. And so if we were to operate something that would say go directly from the north end to the hospital, we'd have to make sure that that was open to the general public. We would have to, you know, make sure that it was clear that it wasn't sort of an employee shuttle. And one of the things that we get to experience, like just 2 weeks ago, we had a team of 3 inspectors from the federal government that, you know, spent 2 days at GMT headquarters going through all of our records, you know, making sure that we are, you know, spending funds in accordance with the federal guidelines. And so that really sometimes means that we can't be as creative as I would like in addressing local solutions.
Thank you,
You
Clayton.
know,
I want to leave time for our last presenter. I don't want to cut you off, but
Okay.
If you have any last words.
Well, what I'll just say is that, you know, I came to GMT 2 years ago after a career working primarily with the state in human services. And I thought to myself, oh man, you know, human services is so complicated. The transit's got to be simpler. Oh boy. Man, I have been in for an education. Transit's complicated. I've been here 2 years and I still feel like I know very little. But thank you for listening tonight. Thank you for caring. And again, I'm sorry for not being there in person. And so have a great evening.
Bye, Clayton. Thanks, Clayton.
Bye-bye.
Appreciate you being flexible with us.
I appreciate you.
You could stay for the rest of the meeting, but I'm going to say bye on the phone. Thanks, Annie. Wow, so much information. Thanks, everybody, for your patience and also for engaging in that presentation. And we have one more presenter. I'm going to invite Elise up to tell us about the Burlington History and Culture Center. Take it away.
Do I have some slides? Thank you for staying. Sure. I was sitting back there thinking, no one's going to be here by the time I get home.
Doors are locked till 8 a.m.
Oh, they're locked? Okay, good. All right. Well, there are 2 slides in one there. Well, maybe the slides aren't going to be very useful, but so the top slide says it's about time, and that's a logo for Burlington History and Culture Center. There are the group of us who think that we need to understand our history in order to understand where we are now. It's understanding history. Oh, maybe we're going to get that.
Sorry, I was trying to see if I could make it VHS one set.
There you go. Nice work.
There we go. Yeah. Yes, thank you. You are awesome. Yeah, I've been sitting back there seeing you. Yeah, so we think it's about time, and you can go to the next slide. So why? The state of Vermont has close to 200 historical societies all over the state. Burlington doesn't have one. No historical society in Burlington. There's a Chittenden County Historical Society, and they do a fine job supporting research. They do not want a building. They do not want a museum. You know, they have their mission. And there is one history museum in Ward 7, I think it is, Ethan Allen Homestead. That they do a very fine job on the Revolutionary era, the Allen family, history in the Intervale. That's it. There's nothing else in Burlington to help us understand the city and help us understand where we are now. Oh no, I'll tell you. So who are the Bernhards? Anybody know who the Bernhards are? These are just, I know you have to be out of here by 8, so I'm not going to tell all the stories I was going to tell, but this is one story, who are the Bernhards. This is Emma Bernhard on the right, and it's a mugshot. She's got a name written across there. I don't know if you can see that. But she was a German living in Burlington during World War I, and all the Germans had to register with the police. They had to have their mugshots. They had to have their fingerprints taken. And Emma was one of those. And she and her husband are buried in Lakeview Cemetery. And the next slide, please. And I'll introduce her husband. This is Eugene Bernhard, and these are his fingerprints. Do his fingerprints give you any clues as to what he did for a living? One tip is cut off. 2 fingers are totally missing. Definitely has something to do with saws. He worked, here's another clue, he worked for the Mackenzie Meat Company. This is usually where people say, oh, I'm so glad I'm a vegetarian. He was a butcher. He was a butcher. And Emma and Eugene had a sponsor to come to this country from Germany, and they lost their sponsor. So the people in Burlington were looking around. They needed another sponsor, and they asked the Mackenzies to sponsor them. And the Mackenzies said yes. They were very generous people. They said yes. They sponsored them. They came. The Mackenzies gave Eugene a job. The family swears they did not know he was a butcher when they said they would sponsor him. They were doing that out of the goodness of their heart. They find out he's a butcher. They give him a job. He doesn't speak English. The postman comes to who speaks German and English, comes to the Mackenzies every morning, gets the directions from Mr. Mackenzie in English, tells it to Eugene in German, and Eugene worked for them for the rest of his life. He was the first non-Mackenzie, non-Irish, non-relative to work for the Mackenzies. And yeah. Yeah, and he worked his way up to being the manager of the whole business. So, that's one of these stories that we don't know about. There's so many wonderful stories like this. Next slide. I'm trying to talk really fast. Next slide, please. And so while we're on the German, this house here is Kieslick's Market. Anybody used to shop there? 203 North Avenue. The building's still there. It was the 2 people there, the people who started it in 1911. It closed in 1986. There are a lot of wonderful stories about the Kieslicks saving all the ends of all the meats for the kids who didn't have enough to eat, and people coming back to them later in life and saying, "Thank you so much, you helped me survive." And then funny stories like Mr. Kieslicks had a donkey, apparently that used to belong to Pancho Villa. I don't know, and the kids would ride on the donkey and they would do deliveries with the donkey sometimes. So that's, and then the other picture I like to show, this is Mildred McLaren is the name on there. These 5 women. These 5 women were the hospitality committee for the NAACP. And this is in the 1950s. A lot of people say to me, there was no NAACP in the 1950s in Burlington. Yes, there was. And this was the hospitality committee. What they did was they put on dances and fashion shows and that sort of thing to make money for the NAACP. And Mildred is the M of the J&M Market. You know the J&M on Archibald Street? She's the M. Her husband's John is the J. So J&M Market. They bought the market from the Romes, who had it for 2 generations, and then the McLarens bought it, and now their daughter Judy runs the store. For over 100 years, that store has been owned by only 2 families. And Judy, there's a Judy Rome, and there's a Judy McLaren. Judy Rome remembers as a youngster working in the store. Judy McLaren remembers as a youngster working in the store. They had totally different experiences because of race. So that store can tell a fantastic story about Burlington and about our past. And we can take the next slide. Basically, what we've been doing is looking for more stories like this. We are on a 18-month listening tour. We've been having focus groups, interviewing people. We've gone to all the wards now. We saved the best for last, 4 and 7. So we've gone everywhere. We do, the piece of paper that I handed out to you has a QR code on the back. We have had over 300 people take the survey. That goes to a survey. Please take that. There's also a URL for the website. So we have a site, we have a website, but we do not have a site for the museum. We do have our eyes on, Eric Farrell has said that there may be a place for us in the Gateway block. So we're hoping there may be a place there for us. But what we've been doing for the past 18 months is things like this. What are your ideas? What are your stories that you know about that we should know about? Because there are so many untold stories. And there's one last slide, and that's just the QR code again. No, the last slide is just the QR code, in case you want to just
having done some of the, for Memorial Day, put flags on the cemeteries. Those are really, I mean, somebody needs to research those maps. They're so outdated. There's stones that are down. You know, it's tough finding who the veterans were and who are not. So that's another thing you can add to your list, because it'd be nice to have somebody historically that could trace these veterans.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I've done a lot of research, and I'm a historian, and I've done research in Elmwood Cemetery, and I know there's at least one Black Revolutionary War veteran buried there, and I can't find his grave. He has a number.
Yes.
I know he's there. I know sort of where he is.
Right.
But I really don't know where he is.
So
So he has no flag.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
we tried to fix that and put flags where we thought they should go, but you know, it needs some revamping. If somebody knows even a student could do that as a project, you know, finding these, because there's so many that the stones are down.
Right. Yes, you're right. And it's definitely on my list. Yeah. And we would like to do things outside the walls of a museum or a center or whatever we're going to call ourselves. We're going to be starting walking tours. I used to have a walking tour, the Burlington Edible History Tour. I don't know if anybody ever went on that. It was fabulous when we were giving it.
Gary has a history tour. I don't remember his last name.
He is the van tour, right? Yes, yeah, we've taken that.
He took us on a walking tour.
Yeah, oh, and did walking, great.
Wonderful.
Yeah, yeah, I've done a lot of walking tours through the couple I love cemeteries. My kids think I'm nuts, but I do love cemeteries. So we'll start doing some more of those because people like to get out in nice weather, and so we'll do some walking tours and a biking tour. We're going to do a biking tour too. Yep. Any other questions or comments? I know you want to get out of here. Please take the survey. I would be very thankful if you would take the survey and give the QR code to all of your friends and relatives and enemies.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Elise. Appreciate that works. Storytelling is amazing. Thanks everyone for staying. Please put your chairs away. Amy, thank you so much. Our next meeting is the 4th Wednesday of June. June 25th. June 25th, 6 o'clock. Hopefully we'll see you. June 7th, lots going on. And meeting adjourned. Thank you.